What's up, and welcome to another episode of Black in the Maritimes. I'm Fidel.
I'm Hillary.
I'm Clinton.
And I'm Milan.
All right, so it's another week, and we're going to start kind of light, not that light, but a little bit light. We're going to start with a project that Hillary's doing, so take it away there.
I mean, I don't think it's that light, but it's the project I talk about at the end of all of the podcasts. So if you're not staying till the end, unfortunately, you might not know what I'm talking about, but you should be. So I did a photography project called Second Glances, and the website's secondglances.ca. Basically for 6 years of my life, I used to do a photo every single day. I used to document like my grad year of high school and then first year of university, because I thought all of these exciting things were going to happen. And then the reality became that I was documenting my trauma and my lack of sobriety and all of these awful things that happened to me. And every day that Facebook memories would remind me that, you know, this thing had happened on this date, I would get really upset and sad. And I would try to figure out like what I could do to reclaim the power behind those photos, if there was a way that I could be honest about what had happened. And I always felt like all of this stuff got posted and it seemed like no one noticed. No one saw that there were like these very not so subtle cry for helps in all of these photos. So I compiled them all together. They exist on Second Glances. Other people helped as well collaborate and come together. So you can basically see a gallery of, I would say probably around 70 photos right now with the original captions, and then the truth behind all of them, ranging from my lack of sobriety to trigger warning sexual assault, people losing their jobs, people losing human beings, death. It's sort of all covered in there in a means to show that we all lie on social media, and it's not just human beings photoshopping their bodies. It's not makeup. It's not filters. It's actually, you know, pretending you're okay when you're not, putting captions that aren't exactly true. And I think we're all struggling. And, you know, one person actually covered how much he's been struggling throughout the pandemic with his mental health and how he's posting pretending things are fine when really this whole ordeal has been really stressful on him as well. So, you know, I tried to cover a little bit of everything, get everyone's perspectives. There is an open submissions page as well. So if you want to be participant in this anonymously, you can just submit an email and I will respond and collect the photos and add everyone to the website. The website will be live for like 2 years or however long I want to pay for it.
You know what the funny thing is? A lot of the people that are in it, including yourself, I was around those people, and I didn't know half of the shit that was happening, just because I was, again, we all kind of rang around the same circles, and everybody was living kind of like their best life on social media, so I never paid attention to that. But it's some of the people that are there that I'm familiar with, because we hanged around in different places. I did not know they were going through all of that stuff. And there's a couple of more people that I think they could reach out, because they're around that time. Yeah. That they had that same thing. Like some people went to rehab and some people.
I mean, there's a much bigger conversation that could be had about like small town Moncton drinking, about the drug scene that's like encouraged there because it keeps the bars thriving, the small town mentality, all of these things, how negative the mental health is in New Brunswick as the poorest province, and how all of this sort of is one vicious circle. I think like the majority of the people I spent time with during the 3 years that I drank every single day could participate in one way or another, just because I think we were all, you know, part of drinking culture that isn't good and that's indicative of like a bigger mental health issue. But I was happy with the people that did want to contribute. I did reach out to them personally. I didn't put out a like, hey, have you struggled before? Contact me. And then a lot of people came, have already messaged me saying that they related, that they were there, that they did notice things. Because sort of the whole point is the fact that like I posted every single day, basically drunk for 3 years. And there's just people, a big part of me that wished people would have noticed. And now that I'm a grown up and I've gone through therapy, that it's no one else's responsibility to point out those things. But if someone sees someone drinking daily and posting it daily, how do you start those conversations? How do you notice it within yourself that it's a problem? How do you notice other people having this problem? So I sort of just wanted to have a bigger conversation about the fact that like this was a very normal thing for me, and a lot of us have seen that in our friends' Facebooks or have been a part of it, and we don't know what to do, how to help, what resources exist, where to go, how to start these conversations. So that was the whole point.
Some of those people are still like that today.
That's facts. That's facts. A lot of people who were in that scene, love that scene, or stuck in the scene, and they're still there. Like I was a bouncer here since what, 2002.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I did the Angies, the Misbehavens, Blondies, Cosmo, all of it, right? So yeah, like Hillary said, it's encouraged here tremendously. It's almost a subculture, or even I dare say a lifestyle during that period of your life. Like that's just how you get down. You sleep during the day, and you're vampires, right? You get up at 8, 9, get dressed, you hit the bar, and you know what I mean, and then you don't go to bed till like 8, 9 o'clock, you know, the next day. And it's crazy what happens, and it's crazy, you know, again, how it is encouraged. It's the bars encourage it, your friends unfortunately encourage it. It's and it was weird to me, even coming from New York. It was strange. Like New York is one thing, right? Like, you know, it's different in a bigger city. In a small town, it's expected. It's almost expected of you. And if you don't do it, then there's something wrong, right? Like, you know, like if you don't take the selfies, you know, when you're drunk, if you're not doing the whole crazy lifestyle, then like, oh, well, then you're not normal in some weird way. Like I don't drink, and people have told me constantly, oh, you don't drink? That's weird. Now, weird is a very strong word, just to throw that out there. It's a very fucked up word that people use for non-fucked up shit. But weird, it's like, no, it's not weird. I just choose not to. It's like, oh no, that's really weird. But yeah, I think it's just reminiscent of just the time that we're in, that just social media is some people's reality.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it is that new smoke screen or that new filter that people put up to let people know that things are okay. You know, that, oh yeah, I'm like in front of this car, or I look like I'm having a great time, and people take that shit as reality, right? People don't understand that this is just a snapshot, literally, of a moment in time, you know, in what may or may not be a great time in your life. So I think it's cool that people actually responded and wanted to contribute, right? Like that you're not alone in that like your epiphany is shared. That's kind of cool.
Well, I think it was important that, like, I really wanted to do it because, one, everyone sees me posting these modeling pictures all the time, and as much as those are nice, that's also like a false reality that I've portrayed. Like my Instagram is only all of those pictures for the most part, and we know that, like, I don't necessarily actually look like that. That being said, I've also taken the time to be a very big voice about my mental health and about my drinking and drug use and all of the assaults that happened while in Moncton. And even sharing that stuff, I've had a lot of women from the Moncton bar scene come to me about being drugged, about being assaulted, about being raped, about boyfriends who slept with them while they were drunk and they never said yes and it was their partner. Like, I have had probably 20 people in the last year. And so I hoped that people would respond to this too, because it's in the same vein. It's a lot more personal because of all of the photos. But like you're saying, like I think that's the whole point. We lie so much on social media. Like it's not just the filtered pictures. It's literally everything at this point is curated to portray something, and it's all a false reality.
Yeah, no, but I think, you know, I really would love to see, and it's never going to happen, like, but I would love to see the bar scene and the club scene be held to a higher standard when it comes to shit like this. Like, I've carried my share of women out to cabs. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I've rescued chicks. Like, it's crazy, the stories I could tell you of just like me, like intervening and like literally picking a chick up and being like, all right, get the fuck out of my way. Like, she's leaving with me and we're going home. You know what I mean? Like it's just crazy. Like and the bars are not held to a higher standard. Clubs are not held to a standard of doing anything, of saying anything. And you as a bouncer putting in that, and, you know, just from that perspective, you're put in this position of security and ensuring everyone's safety, but then you also are like protecting the liability of the club in some strange way, right? Like as if they're not responsible when they absolutely are. Like, you know, this chick is 18 that I'm letting in here, like, but you want a lot of girls in here tonight. So you tell me at the door, oh, let all the pretty girls in. Okay, dog, but like you also have me checking IDs. So are you telling me not to look at the IDs? Like, what do you say? You see what I mean? Like, and that happens just throughout the industry. Yeah. And then, you know, shit happens and things go sideways. And then, you know, with I remember when Quickster, I remember when Voodoo was doing their fucking teen dances. Fucking nightmare to fucking work security for, because here I am, a grown ass man, and these are kids, so I can't put my hands on kids. Anyway, this young chick comes in here and she's doing her thing and she's walking around the club and she's like, you know what, you know, things are getting out of hand. I'm calling my mom, like, I gotta leave, blah, blah. Calls her mom comes, whatever. Anyway, this chick goes ahead, comes up from behind me and like punches her before she gets in her mom's car. So anyway, I reach behind as a reflex, and I grab the chick by her neck and I throw her up against the wall with one arm. Anyway, caught the shit on fucking camera. I get called in the next day by the owner. Oh, some parent called me and said that you put your hands on their daughter. I'm like, no. Well, yeah, we got it on camera. I'm like, oh, you mean the chick who hit the other chick when she was leaving? Yeah, well, you put your hands on. I'm like, well, what was I supposed to do? She punched the girl. I just grabbed her and threw her up against the wall. That was it. I'm like, you want to fire me? Fire me. That's fine. But like, what do you want me to do? Like, you want me to secure this place, but then I'm supposed to let anything happen? Like, it's just a thing of where club owners don't think, right? Like, why are you doing a high school dance every week for underage kids inside of a fucking bar and then hire adults to supervise and to be security? That makes no sense. So if a fight breaks out, I, as a grown-ass man, technically cannot intervene because these are minors. So even if it's a fucking 6'6" high school kid who's 17, I technically can't put my hands on him because mommy and daddy are going to say something that I put my hands on the little boy. So again, it's just, I'm just saying all this to say that the industry as a whole needs to be held to a higher standard.
100%.
You know what I mean? Because if they did, then a lot of these instances and issues may or may not, you know, go as far as they do. Right. And I don't like the fact that club owners and bars are allowed to skate when shit goes sideways under their supervision and under their roof, and so on. So anyway, just a side note.
I also just find very quickly that, like, what you were saying about the bar industry condoning like all of the drinking and the drug use and that lifestyle, like especially back home where you all are, it's the only place where there's young people really working, because everything else is so, like, it's such an old demographic. There's no young people there. So the only fun thing for young people to do is to get fucked up and then to work at the establishments that help them get fucked up. And one of the establishments I worked at used to feed us alcohol till 6 a.m.
Absolutely.
One night a staff member at a different bar who had just gotten fired called me a nigger, and they gave me shots all night for free as an apology for that instance. And so then I was blackout drunk at my work. Make it make sense.
I agree with you. 2:30, they shut the doors and it's a free-for-all. Yeah, absolutely. There's the party after the party. And then you go to the after hours.
I will say this, and I can tell you because I've done a lot of promoting in different parts of the world. In the Maritimes, it's the club culture is very, very, I don't know.
Icky.
Well, it's not. I don't think it's even the unregulated or the part, because if you go to places like Toronto or again New York or other places in different places, you will see that this was a shock to me when I came to a club here. Basically, when I went to a club in other places in the world, there's like segmentation, right? There's like the 25 to 35 crowd. There's the 18 to 25 crowd. There's the 35, and there's places for different segments in different worlds. So you don't. Again, I would never see 19-year-olds or where I went in places in Miami or in New York. I never seen that because they have their own spot. Here, everybody is in the same place.
And that's a problem.
There's 5 bars on one street and everyone's at all of them.
But even at the height of Moncton, Moncton had a time when you did have the separation, right? You had the rodeo that was for all the old people, and you had all the country fans there, and then you had Voodoo, which was like your like career like 25 to like 32, and you had Cosmo with their Wednesday nights that had the college nights and all that with Norm the Jammer and all that dumb shit, right? Like, and there was a point in time in Moncton where there was a bit of separation, but now there is none. You're absolutely right. Now there is none. And I mean, I've worked strip clubs in New York. I've done the strip clubs here, and you're right. In bigger cities, there's more organization. And there's when you're done, you're done. When the lights come on, you get the fuck out. We clear you out. You go home. Staff goes home. Like, there's a regimen. Here, it's not like that because everyone and their dog wants to be like, oh, I know the owner. So if everyone fucking lingers, right? They want to fucking linger. They want to suck the dick of the owner. Oh, I want to do this. No offense, Hillary. I'm not saying you. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that's just what I have seen. That's how it gets down. It's ridiculous.
Can you see my face? Because I felt my face.
I just realized, I'm like, oh shit, no, that's not what I'm saying about you. So, but like, there's a whole mentality here where it's like, oh, I know everyone knows everyone.
Yeah.
So there is no regulation. So we can stay here till 4 a.m. and get drunk and fucking throw a whole nother party that's illegal because we're after hours and we're serving liquor freely and we're doing everything else. And it's a thing of where, like, I agree with Fidel, like in the bigger cities, there seems to be one separation of demographic, but also two, I find that there's more regimen. Not saying shit doesn't go sideways, but there seems to be more of a regimented flow where here in the Maritimes, it's literally like, oh, it's a free for all. If you're a popular club, everyone stays around, they hang around, they do whatever, you lock up whenever, we count the money whenever, just...
Well, in any case, people go to the Hillary's website, secondglances.ca.
Yes, end on that note, thanks.
Yes, no, but
I'm sorry, that's not what I meant.
It's really, no, it's a really cool project. I did find it. I was there for some of those people that I know, and I'm like, oh wow, I never thought about it, but it is kind of good. But in that case, let's go with another maritime subject, which is politics. The municipal elections in New Brunswick are happening in May 10th. I think it's the date for most of them, depending on what the pandemic is. We have seen more diversity than before. I think there's around 10 candidates of color within the whole province, mostly for counseling. Most of them, you can see them in our Facebook and Instagram in Black in the Maritimes. Definitely, it's quite eye-opening to see that, which I never seen it in the 10 years that I've been living here. So we'll see. Clinton, what's your opinion? I mean, you've been quite silent for a bit.
I was just listening, taking it all in, having some memories of when I moved here in 2009 and 2010 and what the scene was like. But I mean, you guys are on the nose. Everything you said was completely accurate.
I'm sorry, Hillary.
So regarding Second Glances, Hillary, you just launched that yesterday, and I'm just kind of browsing it while you guys were talking, and it looks really interesting. I think you're really brave to be launching things like that, and it's going to be, I hope it helps people. It's so true. I have friends who, I know this is not the elections, I have friends who, they post every day the most happiest, beautiful pictures, and I know that they are some of the people living the most stressful, most problematic lives right now. So you're totally on brand and on message with sort of your concept with that website, and I can't wait to dive into it after this and see where it goes. Regarding the elections, the diversity is happening. I said this, I think, a year ago when I joined the podcast. I said even the people of color who are running then, regardless of whether they win or not, I know it's more important to be included than just having a seat at the table, but just seeing all those different faces on billboards during the last elections, I think it inspired people to run and to put their name on the ballot and try to get out there. Just like I remember saying that, sorry, I lost my train of thought. I remember saying that, this is the start of something good. You're gonna start to see more and more people of color and more diverse people from diverse backgrounds start to run for positions in New Brunswick, and that's what's happening now. I think it's really exciting. I haven't seen a lot of campaigning going on for anyone, and I have kind of kept my nose to it, which is interesting. But I like it. I like seeing the diversity, and it's the only way to get more people of color or from diverse backgrounds at the table in positions of power.
Alon, what's your thought about it?
I think I agree with Clinton that it's good to see, that there's representation or attempted representation. I think I'm more concerned about what their platforms are. Not every brown face is a friend, right? So, that's kind of what I'm more concerned with. It is nice to see. I would love to see, the voting demographic actually go ahead and begin looking at these different minorities and people of color that are running as viable options. I think that's kind of, the key, and also getting the younger demographic out to vote is key as well. But I think I'm more concerned about, where, these POCs stand on issues regarding, relating to the minority immigrants and communities here in the greater Moncton area. That's my biggest concern. I don't care, who you are, what race you are, if you're not, working for equality and the ending of systemic racism, then it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's good to see the optics look good. But I'm more concerned about the issues and where they stand than anything else.
What about you, Hillary?
I agree with both Clinton and Alon. I remember, we've talked about that previously, the idea that there are people of color who, people get really excited, they vote for them, but then their policies or the things that they want to do actually align themselves with, what white power wants. And it's just it's a person of color on the ballot, but they don't actually end up fighting for things that improve the lives of people of color. And then it becomes extremely frustrating because you think you've done a good deed, a good thing by having more representation, and then they don't end up helping us get any further along. I am excited about all of the people of color on the ballots. I'm excited about all of the women that I've seen as well. I've seen some, some people's, what's the word I'm looking for? Not platforms. Yeah, it's a political platform, I guess. I've seen some that look really good. And if I was there, I would definitely be going out to vote. So I hope that, everyone listening exercises their good democratic rights, votes.
Now, we'll ask this question to all of you. Do you think any of the candidates that we have seen so far have a chance of winning?
No.
Why is that?
I say
not in Moncton.
No, I mean no, I don't think so, because unfortunately the demographic that would need to come out and vote, if you're an immigrant or a landed immigrant, there are certain restrictions on voting depending on when you get here and blah blah blah. And if you're not a citizen, there's certain restrictions on that. So and then you have your conservative old white demographic, and then you have your young conservative demographic that is not of minority. That's a problem too. Unfortunately, as we talked about before in this podcast about different issues, unfortunately you have a segment of young white people who just follow what their parents and grandparents have done. So their parents voted conservative, they're going to vote conservative. They share the same ideals because they're living the same life, right? Yeah. So that's a problem, right? So you don't have a younger generation in these non-minority segments that are actually being progressive. They're living the same life, doing the same go around the sun. And so their mentality is still the same as it was 2 and 3 generations ago. So, for them to go ahead and be progressive and say, yeah, we're going to vote for, the black woman or the black man or the Aboriginal individual, it's not going to happen, right? I don't see that happen. I'm saying I can't. I just don't see it happening, and I don't feel that Moncton is that progressive with the population as a whole to make the visible changes that it needs when it comes to elected officials. I really don't.
Yeah.
No,
I don't. Oh, sorry. I'll just give my quick answer. I say no because I don't think things like this happen overnight. I think it's a long path, and I think first having more and more people on the ballot, and it slowly will open people's minds to considering voting for people of color. But it's a long path. The first person who stood up for civil rights probably didn't get what they wanted, right? But eventually, I think it could be a possibility. Now, if every person of color in the province all decided to pool together and vote for one candidate, let's say it was a provincial election, there would be a 0% chance that would do anything. That would be 3% of the vote. But the more and more people get in politics, the more and more people that learn how politics work, learn how the game works, build their teams, learn how to appeal to the actual voters that could get them into power. I think it'll happen one day.
No, I will, just to clear out what Alon says. In municipal politics, it's more not idealistic, not like provincial or federal politics. And municipal politics is more clear cut, so it really doesn't have to do so much about the ideal, which they say, because they're so limited. But I will clear that part in a little bit. Hillary, what's your thought on it?
I mean, I haven't seen any of the like white people who are also running to be able to really compare notes or anything. I'd like to think that at some point we would get there where more people of color would be voted on, but I guess that I probably know 2 or maybe just like 1. Well, my bigger concern is that everyone is just going to, I don't know, either Don Arnold's going to get reelected, which I don't think would be that great. That's my bigger concern, is like what's going to happen there because of like the homelessness crisis and everything.
The sad thing is she has no real competition.
Yeah, she really doesn't. And people are just going to go to the ballot and they're just going to see the name and they're just going to go like, wow.
Exactly, because the name is familiar. And that's the unfortunate thing, right? Yeah. And I think also, when unfortunately, the minority community is kind of damned if you and damned if you don't, right? Because if you look at it, you've got your traditional round of old white men who are running, right? Traditional old ass white dudes. Then you've got your old white French dudes who damn sure don't have people of color's initiatives and policies at heart. But then you've got the minority French people. You got to worry about them because you don't know what side of the fence they're going to fall on, right? Are they going to be pro, I know Hillary, I know LeBlanc, I know, but I'm not a fan of the. Listen,
we're gonna have a fight.
Listen, I have no love for the Acadian mentality here in the province at all.
Okay,
I don't.
But
I don't.
Canadians are minorities as well to the English and are friends with the Indigenous.
No, they are not friends. No, they are not friends with the Indigenous. No, the Acadians do and did what white people have done forever, which is use minorities to get a foothold and establish themselves and then kick them to the curb when they're done with them. That's exactly what the French have done here in New Brunswick. That's all they've done. That's all they've done. Where are the French communities and the French leaders fighting for Aboriginal rights right now? They're nowhere to be fucking found. Oh, I'm sorry. Did we forget about the fishing crisis in Nova Scotia that we just had? I'm sorry, I didn't see any French people fucking going on the side of the Aboriginals there about the fishing rights. I didn't see that. So Aboriginals and French and Acadians, they don't. There is no. The Acadians do what they always do, and white people do what they always do. That's all I'm saying.
But I will correct you in that. Yes, the Francophone Association did make a statement about the fishing rights. So they did actually.
No, fuck the Francophone. Listen, let me tell you something. The Francophone Association has done nothing but continually try to assert its authority and its power over the Anglophone side of the community. Now, listen, there's no the Francophone. What has the Francophone fucking association done for anybody else but the Francophone Association? What they want? They want to change curriculums. They want to change nursing testing standards. They want to fucking make the game fit them. And they're constantly crying, "We're minority. We're minority." Listen, I have nothing but love for French and Acadian people, but I do not have love for their leaders in power because their leaders. No, I do. On a personal one-on-one level, I do. But I do not have love for how their leaders get down because their leaders are always crying, "We're still behind. We still don't have rights. We still don't have money. We still don't have resources." That's not true. That's not true. And instead of Acadians helping other minorities to get that seat at the table like they have, they don't. I haven't seen it.
I don't think that's what their association would have been founded for, though. Their association would be founded for the purpose of moving forward Francophone.
But you tell me, Clinton, what more movement do we need of the Francophone community here in the Greater Moncton area?
I don't know. I've never looked into it or researched it. I'm just
all I'm saying is that if we look at the optics here in the Greater Moncton area, I think the Francophone community is doing quite well than every other community that is here.
But I think we're going, and this is what this is a bit of a dangerous line. I think we're going more on perception and not real numbers, because I think one of the things that I agree with Clinton is that if you have an association, whether it's Francophone, Black, Arabic, Aboriginal, the whole purpose of an association is to fight for the rights of that common people. I mean, if they unite with other people, that's amazing.
And I understand that, and
hold
I get
on,
that.
Hold on, man. He's in the middle of a thought.
No.
Talk for 5 minutes. Finish his thought at least.
What I will say is this. And I'm not gonna bring it back to the politics side, because again, I think there's a big.
Got more politics things, yeah. Okay.
You can't not let the one Acadian person.
That's true.
I was waiting for you to cut. I was waiting for you to cut him off. I was waiting.
Like, I'll quit right now. The level of anger inside me, off the charts. So you go ahead, Fidel, and finish your point, and then I'm coming for you, New York man.
Let's go. Let's get it done. Let's do this.
Oh God. Okay. Anyways,
let her have it. Let her go.
No, him first.
I guess I'll have to let you have it, and then I'll go back. Go ahead, Hillary.
First of all, you're wrong, but you're not 100% wrong. But the thing is that like we don't claim our leaders. I wouldn't say that all of the Acadians voted for these white men thinking that they were going to solve problems. I'm part of an Acadian BIPOC theater group that is trying to make a difference. When this stuff happened with the Indigenous and the fisheries, all of my Acadian friends came through and said, if you are Acadian and you're not fighting for them, for this, then you are royally fucked up, because they are the people who got us where we are. Yes, we claim minority because, again, we all hate the English white man. And I'm confident that no, the Acadians aren't necessarily doing enough, but I do believe that our struggle as a group of people is still valid, that there's still a group of people who are suffering. And if their white politicians aren't doing enough, then it is up to the younger Acadians of New Brunswick to get rid of those assholes and pick better people. But the majority of them studied at UWM and are probably, hopefully, part of the group of people that want to elect more people of color as well. That's all I've seen from every single Acadian person that I know in that whole community, is that they all want change.
And you know what?
Well.
That's refreshing to hear, because unfortunately in my run here for 20 years, that has not been the message that I have seen from either the Acadian community as a whole or from their representatives. I have not seen that. I have not seen them reaching out to other communities. I have not seen them stand by Aboriginal communities. All I have seen is, and all I've heard is, poor Acadians, we still need more, we still need more, we still need more. Fuck everyone else, we still need more. And at the end of the day, I'm sorry, French speaking or English speaking, white is white and black is black. So at the end of the day, as a black man, this white man, whether he speaks French, English, or whatever, if he's not on my side, I really don't give a, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not ringing home with me. It's not ringing true to what my concerns are. So again, if I'm living in a bubble, then that's me. And then that's my fault, and I need to get out the bubble. But I'm just saying my experience, my experience of 20 years living here as a black male, you know, with a biracial kid, I have not seen Acadian communities or Acadian people or Acadian government or representation stand up for anyone else but and again, I understand that's what they're supposed to do, but at the same time, I'm seeing them having a very good seat at the table, a very vocal seat at the table. And I don't see them reaching out to anyone else to help. I don't see them helping other minority groups get that same seat. People listen when Acadian communities speak. The Anglophones listen. When the French community says, we need something, they stand up and they try to make it right. They try to negotiate. They try to make it. I don't see them helping anyone else in that, like, to get that same seat.
But also,
and that's what bothers me.
But I think you have to understand one thing, and this is what I will respect. The Francophone community is not just a community. They are personally in New Brunswick. There are places that are 95% French compared to, you know, like Edmundston or places like that. Now, I do have to say that, unfortunately, if they run as a pack, that means that they run as a group and they decide to make a civil movement if they're organized, which happens in other places in Canada. That's a perfectly legitimate move, which I think also people of color should do. I definitely think it's a valid. And again, the reason why they have that type of power, it didn't kill them overnight. I think they were strategic about it too, right? It wasn't just a fair of luck, and it wasn't just them like saying we need. They were able to strategize how to get that.
Right, but all I'm saying is that
it sounds like there's lots of parallels between your opinions of the Acadians and sort of like a stereotypical perception of like Jewish people in America in some regards, right? Like they're saying that they've been given so much, and that I don't like generalizations of any population, even if it was to be 99% accurate. I still wouldn't like the generalization.
No, and you know
what?
Sounds
like you're saying that they keep on whining that they don't have enough and that they have it so hard, yet they have so much and they keep getting more and more and more. And
I'm just seeing from, again, my experience here. I'm just looking at what I have seen, experienced living here in the greater Moncton area. Okay. I am seeing minorities, we're increasing in numbers, but not enough. We don't have that seat at the table. We just talked about, different people running for office, and most likely 9 times out of 10 are probably not going to get elected. Okay, so we're at this base level of trying to just get visual representation, elected representation in offices. Okay, all I'm saying is that you have if the Acadians are going to be a minority group, that's fine. Be a minority. Okay, that's great, fantastic, and I commend them, the Acadian community, for what they have and what they've gotten. Fantastic. All I'm saying is that this maritime ideal that like I've got my piece of the pie and that's it, and I'm not going to help anyone else get their piece of the pie, especially when I don't see publicly Acadians even helping the Aboriginals get what they need, right? Like, that bothers me. Like, why is Dieppe as a whole, construction-wise, less than 15 years old, but we still have fucking poor-ass, dirt-poor reserves? Like, where is that sharing of the wealth? If one minority helped you, why are they not on an equal playing field? That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that if one minority... Because everyone expects when Black people get in a position of power, they expect us to reach back and help other minorities, right? That's what they expect us to do. Anyone of color, if you get a position, you're supposed to. That's how I see it.
It's happened with this organization. So statistically, numerically, by definition, Acadians are a minority in this province. They are. A minority is defined by if you are the smaller percentage of a cultural group in an area. But also, I've heard complaints that Black in the Maritimes doesn't look out for the interests of other cultures, only Black people in the Maritimes, and what are we doing about that? So it is about perspective, and it is about how much of a percentage of a population it is in a community. And I don't agree or disagree with you, Alana. I haven't formed any solid opinions on that, but you're saying that about the Acadians, but I've heard people say that about us.
No, and you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
I would just say that, like, I agree that as like, sort of, not to bring it back
Hillary,
to my
hold on. Who hates English white men? I heard you said that earlier too.
I don't hate them, but I think that like they are the oppressor overall. Like, it's literally the British whites that conquered and deported the Acadians, raped and pillaged the natives, took Canada, took America, took most of the world.
But words matter, and if you're talking in a podcast and you're yelling out that we hate English white men, do you mean that?
I didn't say we. I believe I said me.
I don't know.
I will stand by all the words that I say in this podcast.
Yeah, in fact, same here.
If you go back to any episode, I am in love with Harry Styles, who is a British white man. So I have conflict and I see a therapist. What I was gonna say, and more importantly, is that I think that it can be said about a lot of groups, the idea that we all want for ourselves because we want our reparations. We've been hurt, we've been disparaged, we've been this, we've been that, and then no one ever seems to share. And I think it's because we're all fighting for a piece of the pie that the oppressor, the white man, has. They have the pie. They own the whole bakery, and we would just all like a slice of the pie. But the thing is that, like, I understand your point and what you're saying, but I think that the problem is that Acadians still despite everything they have, still to this day are fighting transgressions happening in Moncton constantly. And Black people are too. We all are. It's the fact that even though they have everything that they've had, they've got the seat at the table. It might not seem like it's enough, but we're still fighting over what should be allowed in the French curriculum, when I don't necessarily think, in my opinion, that white English politicians should have a say on what's taught in the French curriculum. I think that should be up to the French-speaking people. Yet they are the ones that get elected, and then they are the ones that decide this, and it affects the future of all of the kids that are like being raised to be bilingual, and then that has a domino effect. Things like that affect the entire economy, and we as a group of Acadian people see those as like microaggressions, this thing against us. So we still fight for more because it still feels like we're a minority that is being slighted against, even though it's maybe not as bad as the immigrants who like are coming to New Brunswick and still don't have the right to vote, and the Indigenous who don't have water. But if your mentality is always to look out for your own, and you still feel like your own doesn't have enough, you're not going to stop and then apparently look back. And that is a definite misfortune, but I still think that they're not 100% wrong in continuing to fight their fight.
But I just
even
feel
if your
that
group is doing well and
whites...
is well off and has a lot, it doesn't mean that they're not going to be the victims of racism, right? Because you can have a Black lawyer.
No, but I feel that the oppression of white-skinned minorities is different than that of brown-skinned minorities. And that's that. And at the end of the day, I feel that's kind of where that imbalance is. It is like you mentioned, the Jewish individuals in the States or New York, especially. Like, yeah, they, yes, they have the story, and that's great. But it's different when you're a white-skinned minority, because it just is. It's different, right? Like an Acadian French person can learn English and pass for whatever they got to pass for, and not have to deal with certain things on a daily basis, right? So, but a brown skinned person who knows French and English and maybe other languages doesn't get to turn that white switch on and off, and that's kind of where my frustration comes in, because I feel like the Acadians have that genetic advantage, and it's like, okay, you've gotten certain things because of that advantage. So be aware of that advantage and help other minorities get to where they need to go. So we all, as a whole, like Hillary said, can fight that fight against the common enemy.
But Alon,
but also, like Hillary said, sorry, Fidel.
No, I was gonna say that there are Black Acadians. We have one on the podcast.
She's team light skin. I'm not like
Senegalese.
like there are Black people that are Acadians. There are not a lot of them, but they are. But I mean, I think before I
but at the end of the but just to on the quick quote, but at the end of the day, if you don't look at her name and you don't know she's a young Black woman, she can't turn that on and off. She can't go ahead and be LeBlanc, be white, and go ahead and live her life. And then when she wants to be Hillary.
I mean, if you
see what I mean, like
if you hear the name, you do think I'm white. It is LeBlanc, like someone
right, like my name, McCaw. I get that. I totally get that. But what I'm saying is that yes, you may be a Black Acadian female, but what I'm saying is that you still are experiencing things that a chick who is white and Acadian is not going through, even though technically and data-wise, you're both a minority.
Yeah,
that's where my frustration kind of comes in. Is that, yeah, you may be a minority group, but all I'm seeing is that you have an advantage over me as a minority as well. So we're not fighting the same fight, right? Because you can go ahead and you can speak English and go into that room with other white men and women and say your piece. And because of your skin tone, can be taken a lot more seriously than me. And so my fight is harder. That's a perception. It's a perception.
I don't disagree. It's just that, like, I know from experience that it depends on the fight, because I know in a room of English people, they would not listen to this person for the fact that she's speaking English with a French accent, or because she's a woman. Like,
that's true. That's true. Yeah, you're
like,
not wrong.
I've been the person who, because I'm Acadian French, has had my French shit upon by Quebecois, who's been too ashamed of speaking my French in my own university because people there spoke French, and I spoke Moncton French, on top of being half Black, on top of identifying as bisexual, on top of having a vagina. Like, God gave me all the minorities. I accept them all. The struggle is real. And I understand what you're saying. Sure, there's a white advantage, but then there is a language barrier. No one has it great.
I think
you're saying, though, that they can flick on and off that switch and act like an Anglophone, but I think part of the grievance is that they want to act like a Francophone and not be treated differently for it or be judged or be made to feel different.
Our skin tone, isn't that
right?
But
I've seen Acadians. But I've seen in my life and in my time here, I've seen white-skinned Acadians be racist and be biased against other minority groups.
But you've seen black people do things that are bad in your life. But that's like a white person saying they've seen black people do bad things in their life.
Okay, yeah, I get that. I understand that. But when you look at how the immigrants just I don't know. I've seen things, experienced things, and heard things that have been very, very
Maybe it's time for
racist
a
and very biased.
Maybe it's time to
very
reevaluate, deconstruct.
It's like you shouldn't have deluxe fish and chips because of one bad battered fish. I think you need to try the whole restaurant again. Try different locations. Try different. Like, I'm a Black Acadian. We're getting started. No, I'll get you to meet like my mom. She's great. She swears a lot. Really funny. She's small little Acadian and she's from Memramcook.
Maybe we should all go down to St. Louis or something like.
Hey.
Listen, man.
Southern states, is there
on the Black Acadians
There's Black Acadians in New Orleans. There's a bunch of them.
Yeah, New Orleans.
So in the end, are you guys saying that
you're wrong?
I am wrong? No, I mean I'm asking. I'm like real talk. Are you saying that I am wrong?
Saying you can't generalize an entire population based.
That's my feeling. You're not completely wrong. I think
the people you saw may have been like that. Or probably like that.
But also, just to go back to the topic at the beginning, I think that's why we need to understand politics, because municipal politics and federal politics and provincial politics are different, and a lot of these subjects have to do with different types of politics and different type of policies. Now, I will say this: I think it's with Alon's case, I think it's a lot of perception, because I agree with you guys. I think there is a lot of things. For example, I've been to Acadian communities in New Brunswick that look like shit, and these people have nothing, and I'm like, whoa, what the fuck? And they get the low end of the stick because they're French, same as some reserves. However, I think the main thing that we have to make sure, to go back to the minorities in politics, including Acadians and Aboriginals, I think one of the things that we have to take in consideration is that the level of where you have to get into and what other people get. Yeah, I think the Acadians got a whole, but it didn't happen overnight, like Clinton said. This took a while. This took hundreds of years. It wasn't that they came here and they're like, okay, the oppression is over, we're taking half of the shit. This
400 years.
This took a while to make it happen. This took a fairly amount of time for it for them to have whatever they have now. But one of the things that we have to also understand is that I think right now, with the politics that we're having with the minority things, I think right now minorities have a better chance of getting into municipal politics because they're more clear cut than idealistic, other like congressional and provincial. But I also think that we have to not vote with perception. Which one of the things that Alon says, like how he feels or how he thinks. I think we have to look of what people are offering and how things are getting offered in order for it to give a chance. And I think one of the things that we have to, as people of color, is that we have to make sure that we, as a community, support each other, but also bring different type of, of things, of facts and viability to our community. So I think that's one of the things that we have to kind of clear it out. And also we have to make sure that we see not the perception, but what the scope is. Like Hillary has, I didn't know there was a BIPOC Acadian thing like that. That's kind of cool. Like it's kind of.
They found me because of us. They read my blog and thought that I did spoken word really well. It's a white French guy who's running it, and all he's done is basically find Black, like any BIPOC artist who'd be interested in doing a BIPOC theater, because he was tired of Théâtre Escouette and other only French Catholic Acadian theaters running French Acadian white stories, knowing that there are people like me who have more to offer. So a white French person was like, hey, there's more to offer in this community than what these old stuffy white men are portraying. Let's change it up. And this is what I'm trying to say, that your perception's not wrong, because old white Acadian stuffy men are running the shit, but there's a new generation that really wants to see change, because there is a very diverse group of people in the Acadian culture. Like, even recently this year, just right before the pandemic started, did we just start talking about queer Acadians? Because like, as an Acadian group, we're so Catholic that we're afraid of the word gay. My mom doesn't believe in bisexuality. She said, pick a side of the fence. And I said, I think both sides of the fence are hot. Mom, I was 17. So they have an ideal. And I think that there's a lot of younger people trying to change that mindset wholeheartedly. And I think that's what Alon, I want you to be open to. Also, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to like us to shit on you for 20 minutes.
No, listen, I had listen, if I can't dish it, I can't take it, I shouldn't be
I'm not shitting on Alon.
First up. But I agree with Hillary.
I don't like generalization.
I agree. Like we're in two different where there's an age gap between us, clearly.
But that's the thing.
So my experience is clearly different than yours.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? It's refreshing to hear that there is a movement in the youth to change what I've experienced, because what I'm experiencing is from that older generation per se. The people who are in power, the people who are in positions of power, who are, running things and doing things. And I'm seeing that old school way of thinking and moving that unfortunately has been more negative than positive.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I take every individual as they come at me. My perceptions are what I'm seeing generally. So yeah, listen, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I can always be, corrected. I'm always open to that. And you know what? Okay. So,
well, you were right about your experiences, but that doesn't make you right about all Acadians. You know what I mean? You had the experiences you had, but that doesn't give you the right to put all Acadians into the same stereotypical group, because that's a form of racism, in my opinion, or culturism or something like that. I'm not calling you racist, but that when you generalize any group of people based on a perceived set of characteristics that they all have in common, that's a generalization, and I don't like those.
Okay, I'm sorry. Sorry, everyone. I'm sorry.
No,
I want to get back to the municipal elections.
Well, but one of the things
I was gonna nibble on my banana.
No. One of the things that I wanted to say, the reason why we have this podcast is because we all can have different opinions, and that's the whole point. I mean, we don't want to be all judged because we're Black. We have different opinions, and we're supposed to expose those different opinions, even if we don't agree. That's the whole point. And that's part of what racism is that we all get treated the same just because of the color of our skin or the language that we are or whatever, or the tribe that we belong to. So we want to make sure that all opinions matter. And again, we're here to learn and make sure that everybody qualifies. But in fact,
I will add, sorry, I was just going to say that like my Acadian cousins, there's like 40 of them, and they are all white because they're my mom's cousins. I just want to say they have a cousin group and they share all the things that we do on it because they're so proud of me. So we're slowly infiltrating them. So it's good. They're getting cultured and they're starting to learn as a group. So I think that like everything is progress. We're doing good work here. Now the municipal elections, but now.
Well, no. What I will say this just to end this block is that
waiting to say something, but you finish
okay,
it. No, you go, please. Unless you want to say the ending thought on it.
No, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, I've just been. This may be so moot by now, but one of you commented on the fact that voting for a person of color, but wait, what about their policies and their position and their platform? And that's really, I've been thinking about that a lot the past week, because it's kind of a double-edged sword. Like, so we were contacted in the past couple of weeks by an organization called Operation Black Vote Canada. And they have traditionally been in places like Ontario, Nova Scotia, Quebec, and Alberta, where there have been more people of color running in these positions. And now they want to get into New Brunswick because they track and keep track of this stuff, and they monitor who is running in municipal, provincial, federal elections. And now, because of the amount of people running, they want to move into New Brunswick and offer their assistance. Now, the interesting thing about them is they will promote and endorse anyone who is a person of color and is running, regardless of their party or their platform or their views or their policies. Their agenda is to get people of color in power. And they very clearly state that they do not endorse their policies. They just endorse the fact that this person is running, and they do everything they can to get the word out about them because they want to see more people of color in power. So that is a big question for minorities. Like, do you vote for the person because it's time that there are more people of color in power, and having more people of color in power will lead to having even more people of color in power? Or do you say, well, this is the only candidate there's been in years, this is our chance to get someone in, but I don't agree with that, so I'm going to vote for this guy instead? I don't have the answer to that dilemma, but it's definitely a double-edged sword. And it's interesting that there's organizations that specifically have address that same issue. Like, they don't, doesn't matter what party you're with, if you're a person of color and you're running, we want to support you because Canada needs more people of color in power.
I will say this, and just to conclude this, if anybody can read Lincoln Alexander's books, Go to School, You're a Black Boy. Lincoln Alexander was the first Black person to ever get elected of anything, and it was a conservative party. That's the party that got elected to him. And again, there hasn't been more conservatives, Black people. There's more liberals now that are Black than conservative. But I do agree that somebody has to get in the door somehow, somewhere. Maybe we don't agree. The first one to get in the door doesn't mean that it's going to be the last one. Like, I think that's one of the things that I do agree with some of that, because I feel like if there's none, maybe having one, even if I don't agree 100% with it, it's better than nothing. And then once the others start, we can all have different point of views, and then we can all kind of make sure, because I think that's one of the problems in the United States, is that because most of them go Democrat, people are like, oh, if you're a Republican and you're Black, you're not Black enough, which I think it's silly. It's ridiculous. I feel like that we should all have parties in different, everybody should have, should have Black liberals, black, conservative, Black NDP, Black Greens. We should have it in all parties, and we should have been able to have a voice in every party. I think that's the way it should go. But we'll talk about that. And again, I'm going to exhort people to vote. Again, I think it's necessary in New Brunswick to have people of color in municipal politics, in any type of politics, because there's none. I feel like they need Aboriginal people because there's none. So I feel like,
I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
No, but I do feel like we need to. The status is changing, but it's not going to change if we don't vote. That's pretty much what I was saying.
But we don't need them in power just to represent minority issues or Indigenous issues or people of color issues. We also need them in power because they can do the job too. You know what I mean?
And not only that, in New Brunswick, there's none. There's like zero. There is nothing. Like, at this point, whatever we can get, at least we get one. You know that there's only been one Aboriginal candidate that actually won in the whole history of New Brunswick. In 100 years, Moncton has one woman as mayor. Like, it's a little bit silly at this point. I think it needs to change, and I think it only changed by voting, and it changed by people running. So I think that's what we need to start doing. And shout out to the people of Black Votes Canada. I think it's really cool what they're doing. We should have them so they can speak of what they do, because I think it's pretty cool. But nevertheless, let's get into some bullshit, which is you.
I feel like we just did, and I'm now tired. More bullshit. I'm exhausted now.
Yeah, that took a lot out of me.
But that was probably one of the most real episodes we've had in a while, guys. Like, that was good.
What do you mean that the other ones are fake? What are you saying, Clinton?
No,
nothing fake here.
I know you're just.
No, I'm just teasing.
It's hard to have a real conversation on Zoom because you can't because
a fake conversation bring it to second glances.
Wow, that was.
Ooh.
She's awake again, boys. Okay.
Anyways, we're gonna talk about the this killing of Duante Wright, which was a 21-year-old that was shot by a cop in Minnesota. Wow, not surprising that somebody got a black kid got shot, which is a mixed kid. His mom is white and his dad is black.
Team light skin.
Yeah, he was team light skin.
Hate this team light skin, dark skin shit.
Well, no,
I'm gonna have a rant coming up soon.
No, I say that because it just shows, and I mean, I think everyone gets it. It just shows just the blatant ignorance and blindness of law enforcement and white law enforcement in general, and that it doesn't. And I'm just saying that I just want Black people to understand it doesn't matter what shade of brown you are. Like, this is an issue for all of us. If anyone out there thought that it wasn't, this situation here is just the most ridiculous shit. Like, he got stopped because there was an air freshener over his rearview mirror, hanging from his rearview mirror.
Do you want to finish the story, Fidel, for anyone who doesn't know? And also, Alon, I get it. But some listeners don't get it, right? Like, if the darker your pigment is in your skin, the harder it's going to be for you. And that's facts. And people with lighter skin do get more opportunities and do have it easier. That's a fact.
Except with that's it. Except when it comes to law enforcement. So don't let those privileges that you may receive in your day-to-day life make you think that you're not going to get harassed like us, like the rest of us, is what I'm trying to say.
Do you want to finish this?
And just the fact that, further story, Fidel. Sorry, I'll go on.
Well, technically, he got stopped because the cop saw some air fresheners, and he asked. It wasn't even his car. I think it was his mother's car. And then she asked for the insurance, and he didn't know where it was. And then he told him to get out. He was scared of the cops, because as any Black man in the United States, as they should be. Then as he came out, he was scared and restless, and the woman was supposedly trying to get out a taser, and she took a gun and shot him and killed him. So that is the narrative right now. She resigned, she's arrested, and she's been charged with manslaughter. Now, all the legal experts says it's highly unlikely that she will get convicted because of the type of thing that happened, because they say it could be quite common that you can confuse it, which is, for me, that's
unfucking believe. Come on,
fuck that. Fuck that.
No,
I saw the video. She had that gun in her hand for like 3 or 4 seconds, right in front of her, pointing at him before she released.
Not to
26 years on the force. A scrawny, to be honest, a pretty skinny kid, and there was already a big police officer right beside her, holding this guy in his seat. No, I don't.
Not to mention.
No.
Not to mention the amount of
something like that is common. Then stop putting both on people. Like, you can't do that then, because then you're just putting everyone at risk. You're saying it's easy for it to be that common of a mistake.
I've seen the video.
She's holding you for too long.
She's holding it.
She's too much experience to be so scared of a kid, of a little kid, that where another bigger cop is already like.
Listen, not to mention you have cops everywhere that I've seen on social media, TikTok or Instagram, who are coming out and saying, no, the gun is placed on your dominant side. The taser is placed on your non-dominant side. So I'm right-handed, so the gun would be on my right, the taser would be on my left. After 26 years, if that's how you're trained to put your service belt on, and that's how it goes down, when you reach for something with your right hand or your left hand. Yeah. This is ridiculous. Mm-hmm. Taser is different in weight, different grip, different width, different everything. And then on top of it all, they have 24-hour security from her police department, her former police department, around her home. They've literally erected 10-foot fences with barbed wire, cameras, and have 24-hour security around her home, because they fear of protests and riots outside her home in her neighborhood.
That's so unlikely. That's ridiculous.
So I saw this on Sean King's site there. So basically, Sean King asked the question, which everyone's asking, who's paying for this shit?
Obviously.
And why?
Everyone knows who, yeah.
She's not on the payroll anymore. She quit. So why is she still getting access to police services and resources? Because they know she's wrong. They know she's dead. Everyone knows she's dead wrong for this nonsense. And I mean, you know what? Like, my kid's 18? Like, come on now. Like, this is ridiculous. This gets too close to home. Like, this is insanity. So you mean you can't drive around in a car now with an air freshener hanging off. Come on, get the fuck out of here. Like, no, like I'm beyond this nonsense of listen, and I did a second thought on this, and I think I went off a little bit on a tangent on that episode. But I'm going to say it here, and I said it there. If you're a fucking police officer listening to this, male or female, and you can't do the fucking job, then don't do the fucking job. Don't have the job because the pension. Don't have the job because your fucking father or your uncle was a fucking cop. Don't have the job because it gets you laid. Don't have the job if you can't do it. The example I give in my editorial. If I'm afraid of heights, I'm not going to be a fucking roofer. That's stupid because I can't do the job. I'm not going to go up there and be scared and endanger the other roofers and do some dumb shit because, oh, well, it's a good paying job. That's not a reason to have a job.
And if you can do
like, if you're that scared,
good, do it. We need you.
Yeah, do it. Please, we need good police officers.
Yeah. If you're a good cop and you're a cop that is brave enough to report a bad cop, you're a good cop, and no one's talking about you or complaining about you. Thank you.
No, it's this nonsense of 20.
I was afraid.
Yeah, just don't do it, man. 26 years on the force. Come on now. And then they said, well, she was training a rookie at the time.
And the thing is, it's only when she kills someone that it gets reported, right? Like that, it's a big, nationwide deal. What has she done to other people in the past that didn't involve killing them, and so didn't make headlines? That's
right. How many times has she made that mistake with pulling out her pistol instead of her taser?
But forget the mistakes on the I just don't. For me, I can't comprehend how mass shooters that have guns and kill people can get arrested, and unarmed black men
are shot dead,
killed
on site.
What are you afraid of? You're not afraid of a mass shooter that he can get arrested, but you are afraid of a black unarmed man that will get arrested, that's on the handcuff, that is on their home, that's just buying, that's in a traffic light. Like, we've seen so many scenarios of unarmed black men getting killed by the police. And I'm like, what are they fucking afraid of? What are they gonna do? Like, I don't understand. What is an unarmed black man gonna do that is so scary to a cop?
And he was so scared that he had called his mom. They made him hang up the call with his mom, and he was with a girl. Like, you're interrupting his time with his boo to kill him? Fuck.
Yeah, it's just insane. It's just so irrational and so wrong on so many levels. There's no reason for this. Like Fidel just said, unarmed black men, and you have these other white individuals with AKs and fuck, they said, just killed a bunch of people. Got the gun, bloody knife in their hand, everything.
Okay, you guys want to hear Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, just CNN breaking news when this podcast started today. So there was another mass shooting, like you just mentioned, Fidel. 3 people dead.
Where is this? Right?
Austin, Texas. There was probably 2 or 3 in the last week. But so it turns out he is a former county sheriff office detective who was also charged with the sexual assault of a child.
Oh my!
So he just went on a mass shooting.
Is he alive?
Is he alive?
They're looking for him. They're locating a suspect.
Oh, they're looking for him.
And so the 13-year-old Adam Toledo that was gunned down in the street this week as well, after a short police chase. And then parallel with another video I saw this week of like a truck, literally a bunch of cops trying to arrest a 61-year-old white male, cop hanging on the door trying to get in the car, another police car ramming the back of the truck. This guy drives off. There's all kinds of cops with guns. No one does jack shit. The man just drove off, and the cop was still on the truck, and the man just drove off, and the man's alive. The man's still alive right now.
If it was a black man, it would have been killed.
Are you kidding me? The cop was at the driver's window. He was just hanging on to the truck. Like, there's a bullet going through that glass, and the driver's dead. I'm sorry.
There was also a shooting in Indianapolis of four people, and it affected the Sikh community, and no one's talking about that because they shot people of color. So heaven forbid they mentioned that at all.
From the George Floyd case, the Derek Chauvin case, that's for sure. It's so crazy.
Yeah, what a great timing for all of this.
After George Floyd got murdered, we kept hearing a couple stories about people getting murdered, black people. Then we heard nothing for almost a year, and now it's the Derek Chauvin trial. And coincidentally, in the media, cops are killing black people again. Like, is it that they have? Is this stress and trauma for the cops? Is this some kind of, I don't want to get into conspiracy theories. Is this orchestrated?
But it's not like no, again, I don't think it's at this point, again, there is no reason why a law enforcement officer should be afraid of an unarmed black man. There's no reason. There's no reason to shoot him. There's no reason to choke him. There's no reason. You are the law. You can get him arrested. George Floyd got killed in fucking handcuffs.
Right.
But they are.
That's how he.
Some of them are.
What was George?
A lot
Floyd?
of them are.
But again, okay.
There is no reason. But they are.
But let's go back to George Floyd. You were arrested in knees. What were you afraid of? And there was 4 cups. What was he going to do? He wasn't even resisting.
Derek Chauvin.
Yeah, he wanted to lynch him.
Orgasm.
Yeah, he wanted to kill him. I don't think that excuse of you're afraid of black men. I think that's an excuse.
If you're afraid of people, then don't have the job. Because then that's the thing is that like this mentality of, oh, if you're afraid of them, then you know what, you have a gun on you to protect you, is how all these people are getting shot. Like if you are afraid of any race of human beings, then don't have a job where you have to police human beings. You're not fit for the role. You can't be scared of other people if you have to then take care of communities and groups of people. Like, then you're not fit to be the person that they call for mental health issues. If someone is having like a panic attack, if there's a junkie with needles, if you're scared of just black men doing nothing, then you cannot do the job.
That's facts. That's facts. That's what it is. That's
again,
what it is.
For me, for this particular case, it's just how were you like tasing seems a little bit obsessive. What were you afraid
Absolutely,
of?
it was. Absolutely.
What the fuck was gonna do? He was like, what?
And I mean, she didn't shoot him once. She put like 3 in him. Like it wasn't.
We're really bad with interrupting for that.
Sorry. Yeah.
But I mean what I'm saying, what I'm saying is this, like, I don't see a narrative that the narrative is that the cops are afraid, it's a tough job. Let's just say that this is not even a number. Let's just say that half of the cops were getting killed, which is not true. Half, not even a quarter, not even, in fact, I don't think they even get like a 10% death rate. I think from the last numbers I seen.
Police?
Yeah, police don't even get a 10%.
0.1%.
No, not 0, but it's not even a 10%. It's very, very low, the amount of cops that get killed. It's a dangerous job, but most of the situations that they get killed, it's either bystanders or like, again, shootouts or things like that. That does happen.
Criminal organization, like high.
No, but that does happen. But when we're talking about unarmed civilians, unarmed, they don't have guns, they don't have knives, and there's the law was supposed to arrest you. What are these, like, what is he gonna do? What is he gonna karate chop you? Is he gonna do a death blow to your knee? What the fuck is he gonna do? He's unarmed. I don't buy the fact that they are like, oh, scared or they're big or whatever. I don't buy that. I don't buy that, because I feel like it's a black man or a black person that nobody's give a fuck, and they are allowed to kill him and nothing's going to happen.
And they also know that catchphrase of, oh, I was afraid for my life, when it comes to minorities, especially black men, no one's going to question that. Unfortunately, no one's going to question that, right? Your peers aren't going to question that. Your supervising officers aren't going to question that, because that's the mentality. That's society's mentality. It's just what it is. You know what I mean? And quite frankly, again, like I said before, like Hillary said, and I think we all agree, if you can't do the job, then don't do the job. And you know what? I'm taking to task the police unions and whoever's doing the hiring for allowing these motherfuckers to pass so-called psych evaluations and be given guns. You mean to tell me that you didn't see this instability in the psych test and the psych eval that you had to give them before they passed the academy? I don't understand that.
Then we have to get into the real truth of what policing was created for in America, right?
No, that's true too. That's true too.
We're believing that it's always good intentions, or it's supposed to be good intentions, but at the same time,
listen, to protect and serve is supposed to be your mandate.
Control, protect and serve who?
Absolutely.
It doesn't say who.
No, it doesn't say who.
the white man. Protect
Those
the
in
whites.
power. Whoever's in power.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and I think we talked about that maybe 2 weeks ago as well, when I was saying that like it's a self-serving thing. Like these, I firmly believe that a lot of I'm sure that there are police officers who go into this role because they do want to be part of the greater good and help people. But there's a large group of people who want to stick it to minority groups who have never been in power before, who, like Clinton said, want to orgasm off of hurting other people, and they found a legal way to hurt other people. We never know people's real intentions. The entire way that police officers get chosen for these roles, like there's such minimal education. There might be a psych eval, but there's not taking like university level psychology courses of understanding people. Like I don't know what level of compassion these people have for other human beings, and they're in charge of like caring about like some of the sickest people mentally, physically in the community. And I don't believe that they clearly don't all have good intentions. And I think a lot of them go into this role knowing that they can get away with hurting people, that they can hold a gun legally to people's heads and kill people, and they can brush it off as I was afraid for my life, or this person did this thing, and they know that they're going to be able to get away with it.
Certain jurisdictions are looking for people like that, though, is what I'm saying.
That's true.
It depends on the state and the city and then the department and what their agenda is. If they really want to serve and protect everyone, or if they have hateful racist agendas and stuff like that. I want to throw in a quick statistic here. I just looked it up. So in 2019, 2020, there were about 708,000 officers in America, and 18 were killed by gunfire.
Yeah, that's what, like, it's a very low profile. So I don't buy that thing that they are like afraid for their life, because again, you're the law. You're what's supposed to serve and protect. So I think it's just an excuse. And the other thing that tells me that that's not true, look at all the fucking cops that went and stormed off in Capitol Hill. There was a lot of cops there, and they went to kill Congress or do whatever the fuck, and they were fucking racist. So for me, that's a whole bunch of bullshit. I don't believe it. I don't think this woman is gonna get the severe penalty, because manslaughter, I think the mostly is 30, 25 years. I think that's the tops that you can actually get. I think she probably, if she gets convicted, she's going to get a light sentence, maybe 5 to 7 years. Yeah. I don't think she's going to give it 10. I doubt that she's going to get 10, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. But in any ways, I think we're going to end it up, because I think it's just staggering. It doesn't make any sense anymore. So, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Black in the Maritimes. Don't forget to listen to the podcast, and please leave a review on Apple Podcasts. It really helps the show, or Spotify. And again, we're coming up with the merch. I just sent some stuff to Hillary. Hopefully I got the right address, and we'll get it done. Guys, do you have anything else to say?
I'll say, if you listen through to the end, I'm not plugging myself or anyone else. I just want to say, if you listen through to the end of this podcast, you are a real one. You are with us. You're a hardcore fan. Share our posts, invite your friends, tell people to like the page, share our podcasts. Like, you're a real one. Thank you for listening through, and we need you. Thank you.
Secondglances.ca. If this episode traumatized you and you would like to post about it and then write about it on my website, secondglances.ca. If you're a person in Moncton and you'd like to vote for this municipal election and you want to be educated on voting, I think you should. And I believe the date was May 10th. I'm Cropberry on all social media. I need a nap now. Alon, your turn.
So I know I pissed some people off. I understand that. That's what I do. Again, if you listen to the whole thing, you will see that I said I accept that I'm wrong. I could be wrong. So anyway, it comes to the job. It is what it is. I don't know what to say. You know what? Like me, don't like me. I don't know. It's been fun. I'm not going to plug my band because they don't need the smoke, so I'm just going to...
If you do like his opinions, On Second Thought comes out on Thursday.
People are going to dig up these old episodes, and any of you guys are going down. Like,
all the racist guys. all the racist people were gonna be like, "Oh, look at what they said!" Like they're gonna snip it, like they do with all the other shit. That's
someone's gonna send some white man I marry an audio clip of me being like, "I hate all white men." They're gonna be like, "How secure are you in your marriage with Hillary LeBlanc?" Because apparently, he doesn't like you.
That's what I'm saying. Just wanted to clarify.
Whatever. I think white men are great, just not the ones in power and not the ones that are racist.
Listen,
so how many does that leave?
Important to clarify.
If Joe Rogan and fucking Alex Jones and Rush Limbaugh before he died could talk their shit, we can talk ours.
Yeah, we'll be all right. I think we'll be fine. All right, peace, guys.